Hello, investors. Welcome to another episode of our series Journey to 10 Crore by Vishal Wealth View. पिछले 2-3 हफ्तों में काफी बड़ी बड़ी चीजें हो चुकी हैं दुनिया में. सबसे पहले ट्रम्प गेटिंग इलेक्टेड इन यूनाइटेड स्टेट, सेकंड Assad falling in Syria, and Middle East falling into more turmoil altogether. Because of this, Indian market has been pretty volatile in past 3 or 4 weeks, and US market has been rallying. So इस एपिसोड में I want to analyze my investment in Nasdaq 100 and FANG ETF, and does it make sense for me to hold those investments? Along with that, I'm also going to analyze and think about whether Nasdaq 100 is in bubble territory and what's the future for that, and what should we do as a retail investor when we think something is in bubble territory and we are investing in those ETF or indexes. So without wasting much time, let's jump into this discussion. तो सबसे पहले बात करते हैं यूएस में इलेक्शंस की एंड ट्रम्प गेटिंग इलेक्टेड. अपेरेंटली ट्रम्प के इलेक्शन के बाद यूएस मार्केट इज ऑन cocaine. To be honest, it's been going high like crazy. And one of my investment in US market was Nasdaq 100. So first, let me tell you what Nasdaq 100 is. Nasdaq 100 is a stock exchange listed in New York, and it composes of 100 companies listed in NYSE. And it includes only non-financial companies. That means no banks is included in this list of 100 companies. So it's mostly tech, healthcare, and to some level, defense. So my philosophy of investing in Nasdaq 100 was these 100 companies, to some extent, are the companies that are leading innovation in this world. And almost 80 से 90% पेटेंट जो दुनिया में बन रहे हैं, they belong to these 100 companies only. एंड अगर अपन देखें तो इसमें से जो टॉप 5 या 10 कंपनी हैं, दे कॉन्स्टिट्यूट मोर देन 50% ऑफ Nasdaq 100, जो कि होगी टेस्ला, मेटा, गूगल, नेटफ्लिक्स एंड ऑल दीज कंपनीज लाइक Nvidia. So this is a tech heavy इंडेक्स. एंड एक और चीज जो मेरे को रियलाइज हुई थी कि एवरी ईयर रुपी डिप्रिकेट अबाउट 4% with respect to US dollar. So this was one of my really good hedge against that depreciation as well. क्योंकि मैंने ये फिलोसफी लगाई कि अगर मेरे को निफ्टी में 12% के आसपास रिटर्न मिलता है, और अगर नैस्डैक भी 12% के आसपास रिटर्न नॉमिनल दे, एंड मुझे 4% का रिटर्न डिप्रिकेशन की वजह से मिल जाए, तो इसमें इजिली मैं 16% के आसपास का रिटर्न बना सकता हूँ. एंड टू सम एक्सटेंट दैट फिलोसफी इज ट्रू एज वेल, क्योंकि हर साल 4% तो रुपी डिप्रिकेट होता ही है डॉलर के अगेंस्ट. सो इफ यू आर लुकिंग फॉर like saving against depreciation, then you can invest in this. And if you want to get some exposure in US market, you can invest in this. But you have to understand the tax implications over here. If you invest in any of the ETF that invests in equities outside India, you have to bear 20% tax on it, even in long term way. So this is one of the key things that you have to remember if you're planning to invest in this. बाकी मैं इस इंडेक्स के अंदर एंट्री ऑलमोस्ट दिसंबर 2022 के बॉटम में किया था, व्हेन इट फॉल ऑलमोस्ट 20-30% फ्रॉम इट्स टॉप. एंड उसके बाद मैंने इसमें ज्यादा इन्वेस्ट नहीं किया है, मैंने काफी होल्ड किया, एंड आई इन्वेस्टेड ऑलमोस्ट 10% ऑफ माई कैपिटल एट दैट टाइम इनटू this particular investment only. Not 10%, almost like 4-5%. And uske baad I'm just holding it, and it has been going crazy. So I'm not planning to sell it because this is something जो कि मैं काफी लंबे टाइम तक होल्ड करना चाहूंगा. And I would probably buy some more when it crashes, when the PE is down. But right now, I don't think it makes sense for me to invest at this stage. Similarly, अगर आपको यूएस में एक्सपोजर चाहिए, यूएस मार्केट में एक्सपोजर चाहिए, तो there is another alternative, that's Mira Asset NYSE FANG ETF. Now this ETF only invest in 10 tech companies. 5 companies to large extent इसकी constant रहती हैं, which are Nvidia, Microsoft, Google, Meta, Tesla. एंड बाकी 5 कंपनीज दे यूजुअली चेंज. ब्रॉडकॉम थी, कभी कभी अलीबाबा थी, नाउ दे हैव मूव्ड इट आउट. द फिलोसफी इज बिट सिंपल, इट्स नॉट अ वेटेड इंडेक्स, इट्स इक्वेटेड इंडेक्स. हर एक कंपनी में 10-10% allocation रहेगा, क्वार्टरली रिबैलेंस होगा. एंड दीज 10 कंपनीज यूजुअली आर द बेस्ट परफॉर्मिंग कंपनीज ऑफ दैट Nasdaq 100 index. So That's why return on this is relatively high, but risk profile is also way higher क्योंकि आप 10 कंपनीज के अंदर ही अपना पैसा डाल रहे हैं. So similarly, as at the time I invested in Nasdaq 100, I also invested in this particular company. Sorry, this particular ETF. एंड उसके बाद मैं इसके अंदर कभी पोजीशन नहीं बनाई क्योंकि मुझे हमेशा ओवर प्राइस लगता रहा है. अगर आप देखें जैसे इसका पी अभी भी 48 49 के विच इज आई कैन नॉट कॉम्प्रिहेंड दैट पी लाइक. Okay, like how does it make sense for me to pay that much money even though these companies are really good? I would rather invest in Indian market right now क्योंकि Indian market थोड़ा गिरा हुआ है. Prices are also not over expensive, not undervalued as well. So it's like fairly valued. So I would like to build my position over there rather than this. Now I will contradict with some of the influencers who also say that Indian market directly copies or behave like US market exactly. To some extent, I think there might be some amount of correlation, but it's not exactly correlated. And case in point, अभी का टाइम आप देख सकते हैं. यूएस में इलेक्शन हुआ है, the market is like going crazy high, and Indian markets are going down. So I don't understand if this is even a direct correlation or not, क्योंकि यहाँ पे तो एकदम inverse correlation है. So let's not consider these facts while investing your money, like, and let's keep your decisions logical. But it also has been like boggling my mind, why is it happening? So this is the commentary coming out of various news channel and media channel in recent times, why market has been falling for 4 straight days. uh, जब भी uncertainty दुनिया में बढ़ती है, investors are not sure what's going to happen. Usually they tend to wait before investing their money, and that usually leads to no support for buying in market. तो अभी यूएस प्रेसिडेंशियल इलेक्शन वाज वन ऑफ द अनसर्टेनिटी फैक्टर. सेकंड इज यूएस फेड रेट. जैसे यूएस फेड रिजर्व रेट कट्स करेंगे, इट कैन इम्पैक्ट इंडियन इकोनॉमी एंड यूएस इकोनॉमी. सो a lot of investors are waiting for those decisions to be played out because a lot of trades might unfold on the basis of that, but we cannot do anything about it. We as a retail investor cannot do anything about it. Another reason which folks are saying is Indian rupee is weakening, and this is a trend which I think will continue in future as well, because historically rupee has been depreciating against dollar at 4%. I do not see any specific reason why this trend is can change in future. There are some reasoning that folks give around the fact that since uh, Indian economy will get stronger in the coming years than US economy, it's possible that rupee will start appreciating against dollar. And to them, I say until unless the reserve currency is USD, it's really hard for a country like India to appreciate its currency and change this trend. So that's why I think this is something that we cannot control as a retail investor, so we should not do anything about it. What you can do is keep up your SIPs. I want to show you guys what Buffett's opinion is on investing, like when you should buy, whether you should invest in market crash or whether you should invest in all-time highs or even bubble territory. Because I had this confusion and I was trying to do this a lot कि मैं ट्राई कर रहा हूँ कि मार्केट टाइम करूंगा, एकदम बॉटम पे आके खरीदूंगा. एंड ये मैंने गलती की. अगर मैं बॉटम पे खरीदने के बाद कंटिन्यूस इन्वेस्ट करता रहता, एंड अगर मैं ये नहीं सोचता कि ओके अब तो मेरे को बॉटम फिर से मिलने वाला है, तो आई कुड हैव मेड लॉट ऑफ मनी in the same investment that I made, and I did not continue. So check this out.
Yeah. Well, I won't comment on the three companies that you've named, but in general terms, unless you find the prices of a great company really offensive, if you feel you've identified it, and by definition, a great company is one that's going to remain great for 30 years. If it's going to be a great company for 3 years, it ain't a great company. I mean, so you really want to go along with the idea of something that if you were going to take a trip for 20 years, you wouldn't feel bad leaving the money in with no orders with your broker and no power of attorney or anything, and you just go on the trip and you come back and it's going to be a terribly strong company. I think it's better just to own them. I mean, we could attempt to buy and sell some of the things that we own that we think are fine businesses, but they're too hard to find.
So I want to take a pause here and reiterate what Buffett is trying to say. Basically, he's saying we should not time the market. You should just hold great companies that will survive for 20, 30 years. Now, you need a long-term visionary person who can see if a company will survive for 20, 30 years or not. आज से 20 साल 30 साल पहले आई डोंट नो कौन कौन सी कंपनी एग्जिस्ट करती थी जो आज अभी भी एग्जिस्ट कर रही है, पर इट विल बी रियली हार्ड फॉर मी टू प्रिडिक्ट कि आज अगर मैं किसी कंपनी में इन्वेस्ट कर रहा हूँ तो इट विल एग्जिस्ट इन 30 years और नॉट. To some extent, some companies will exist. Companies like Nestle are not going anywhere. Companies like Hindustan Unilever are not going anywhere because they are so ingrained in habits of Indian consumer. Like लोग subconsciously products pick कर रहे हैं. They're not even thinking about it because it's a habit. People, when they want to eat noodles, they don't say noodle, they say Maggie. I want to eat Maggie. So this product is so much ingrained in our society that some companies are not going anywhere in 20, 30 years. But those companies will always trade at a premium price. अगर आप कोई कंपनी जो कंज्यूमर स्टेपल्स बेच रही है लाइक नेस्ले या एचयूएल, अगर आप उनका पी देखोगे इट्स ऑलवेज ट्रेडिंग अबाउट 60, 70 because it demands a huge amount of interest from public shareholders because these companies have a brand value. And to those companies, Buffett is trying to say like it's better to own them if you know that they're going to stick around for 20, 30 years and they're going to grow like this. So from Buffett commentary, like you also have to think that if you don't know what companies will be existing in next 30, 40 years, if you're like planning to invest right now, then I think it's better to choose indexes because the best companies are always going to be remaining in index, and that way you can at least generate an average return, which is far better than most of the population, to be honest. आपको ये philosophy रख के चलना पड़ेगा कि you should be generating average return for above average period of time. And if you have that philosophy, which is a philosophy that I copied from Morgan Housel, obviously, then over a long period of time, you're anyway going to get rich and you just have to wait patiently and you don't have to like worry about anything. So that's why I think ETF investing makes sense. And if you're thinking that what is happening to Nifty 50 last 4 5 sessions say market has been going down continuously, I think this is an opportunity where you make position where you buy things that will generate you out like outstanding returns for the future. अगर आप हर बार market highs पे ही buy करेंगे then you're obviously going to have a worse off return than if you're buying at market lows. But the problem is you cannot predict market highs and market lows. So the best thing that you can do is keep investing. That's it for today's episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. अगर आपको ये वीडियो पसंद आई तो do leave a like and subscribe to this channel. Bye bye. Happy investing. See you around.